My sister dragged me outside and humiliated me at her own engagement party. Her fiance overheard everything, and now she wants me to lie to keep him. I am in dire need of an outside perspective right now, so please help me out if you can. Sorry if there is anything incorrect with this post. I'm also a little out of sort psychologically, so this may come across as rambling. A few events in my life have left me in a difficult situation. I'm being blamed for causing difficulties in my sister's relationship, even though I didn't do anything. I didn't know her fiance until we met at her engagement celebration. That was 3 days ago. Since then, everything has gone horribly wrong. My parents and sister have been constantly calling and harassing me. Helena says I'm right, but I'm just under a lot of strain right now. The truth is, my sister's fiance is questioning their engagement after witnessing her mistreat me at the engagement party. Before I go into what happened, I need to give you some background on my life. My parents, Carl and Monica, 50 male and 50 female, have always despised me. It has been evident to me since I was born. I don't remember my early years, but as far as I recall, my parents detested me. I was, and still am, the family's ultimate black sheep. The black sheep and the scapegoat, to be specific. My sister Clara, 24, is 5 years younger than me. She is my parents' golden child and feels the same way they do about me. In fact, she hates me as much as my parents do. Growing up, I was neglected and later mistreated by everyone in my family. My parents frequently beat me, but they never screamed at my sister. They never hit me hard enough to leave a mark, and I was too afraid to tell anyone what was going on. Only my Omaha Helena knew the whole truth, and other family members recognized that my parents weren't treating me properly. I was an antisocial kid with very few friends, so I couldn't tell anyone at school. Throughout my upbringing, I had to deal with a lot of abuse from my parents and even my sister. Clara may be younger than me, but she certainly did not see me as her elder. She basically learned to treat me brutally from my parents and would slap me frequently. I defended myself once and I was starved for 2 days. After that, I basically gave up and started being her punching bag. So, certainly my parents and sister were never delighted to have me in their lives. This is a condensed version, so you must make do with this backstory. Please don't expect me to tell you everything about the abuse because I don't want to discuss it too much. I'm not here to share my sob story. I just need some advice to determine whether I'm being an idiot. I suppose you understand when I tell that I haven't spoken to my parents or sister since I turned 18. I didn't want to be somewhere I wasn't wanted. They didn't miss me. So after receiving poor marks in college, I began working a minimum wage job and doing my best to provide for myself. It wasn't easy, and I'm still not financially secure, but I'm doing okay for myself. I even made a buddy or two. Anyway, back to the core issue. After more than a decade of not communicating, my sister invited me to her engagement celebration. I swear I wanted to giggle when I received my invitation. My Helena told me that my sister acquired my address and phone number from her because she wanted me to attend her engagement celebration. I'm still not sure why, perhaps for looks or something. I wasn't excited about going, but my folks called and asked me to come. They were surprisingly friendly on the phone, so I assumed that showing there wouldn't hurt. Well, I was mistaken. My parents and sister began to ignore me after exchanging pleasantries and presenting me to Clara's fiancé, Luca. I don't know his age. He appeared like a kind guy, and my Helena verified it. I was minding my own thing and preparing to depart early as my parents and sister had nearly become strangers to me after all these years, but I held back since Luca continued attempting to speak to me. I believe he wanted to get to know me since I was going to be his sister-in-law. I had no idea why, because I assumed he would detest me just as much as my sister did. After all, he was going to be her spouse. He appeared really interested in learning more about me, and he even invited me to lunch the next day with him and my sister. I just gave him a generic reply because I didn't know what to say. I was pretty confident my sister would not want to be around me. Clara observed that Luca and I were speaking. She dragged me onto the grass and started yelling at me to stay away from Luca. Then she went on a rant about how I shouldn't even consider returning to the family because the invitation was only for show. She said some horrible things about me which I would not repeat here. Her points were that no one loved me, that everyone despised me, that no one wanted me back in the family, and most importantly, that I would always be the unwanted child. I'd always been none of her. Rant surprised me because I had heard them all before. The trouble is that Luca overheard the talk when he was outside smoking. I'm not sure what happened next because I went home after my sister kicked me out of the party. 2 days later, however, my sister and dad began to blow up my phone, accusing Me of wrecking Clara's life and breaking off her engagement. According to my understanding, Luca disliked the way Clara handled me. He said nothing at the party, but when they got home they had a big quarrel. Luca appears to be considering calling off the engagement because he has never seen Clara like this before. I'm not sure what happened, but here's what I concluded from my parents' and sisters' violent outbursts at me. They are now trying to force me to speak with Luca and explain that everything was done in good faith. I realize this seems silly, but it is what they want me to do. They want me to lie to Luca and tell him that we all adore each other and are simply squabbling like regular sisters. Honestly, I'm beating myself up for even going to the party. I don't want to lie to anyone or pretend that my sister isn't abusive. I do not want to pretend that I love my sister and she loves me. I chatted with my Helena and she is solidly on my side. She also suggested that Luca go away because Clara does not deserve such a nice man. I thought I was doing the right thing by ignoring my parents and sister, but they haven't stopped the harassing. I wish it would all go away by itself, but that is unlikely. Their remarks are starting to get to me. I've been thinking about just doing whatever they want so they won't bother me, but then again, I didn't do anything, and I'm being accused for absolutely no reason. What do you all think I should do? Ida, for not lying to someone and pretending to have a loving sister. Edit. Many of you have asked why my parents always treated me this way. Some of you have suggested that I did something to make them detest me. Yes, I did something. I made a mistake by being born. I'm not making this up. My parents always say that having me was a mistake. My parents had only been married a few months when Monica discovered she was pregnant with me. They were young and not prepared to have children. They are strongly pro-life and did not want to get rid of me. I believe my parents continued to indulge and enable my sister's behavior because they felt it was unjust of me to disrupt their picture of a perfect family. At this point, I'm not sure why they believed assaulting their daughter would be the best way to handle this. That is something you should ask Carl and Monica. I wish they had adopted me out or something. It's a joke to call them my family. They detest me because I took away their hopes. They despise me because I didn't let them enjoy a few carefree years before settling down and starting a family. My sister was the intended child. Therefore, they loved her more and thought she was their ideal daughter. I understand that it is not my fault that I was born, but that logic does not fly with them. They see me as the villain, the terrible youngster who must be punished. Update 1. Guys, I am completely blown away by the replies to my posts. I figured I was probably in TA, but the consensus is certainly overwhelming for me. Your words have also made me realize how horrible things have been for me. I'll admit that I have a tendency to shut off and act unconcerned about things. My past and even my present are difficult to cope with. So, I have a habit of suppressing my emotions and pretending that all of the abuse has had no effect on me. I understand that this is a coping technique I created to deal with childhood trauma. I really can't give into my emotions anymore because I'm scared of having a mental breakdown and ending up in a hospital ward. I don't really have anyone to rely on, so I can't lose myself in my thoughts. That is one of the main reasons I've avoided thinking about my family in detail. Some of you have written some excellent points regarding how my parents were abusive to the point where CPS should have intervened. I didn't like you guys criticizing my Helena for not bringing me away sooner. She is a frail woman with a variety of health conditions that would make her an unsuitable caregiver for me. So, if she had contacted CPS, I would most likely have been placed in foster care. Yes, she asked around, but no one was available to take me in. I don't blame them. None of us are from wealthy households. My relatives and aunts have their own children and don't have enough money to feed another mouth without jeopardizing their income. I carry no resentment toward them. It was not their obligation to correct Carl and Monica's blunders. They did try to talk to my parents and convince them that what they were doing was wrong. Carl and Monica had threatened to take me away and deny me access to them. I guess that intimidated them enough not to press the issue. They also punished me harshly for involving the family. So, I soon stopped telling people that things were horrible. At home, I believe I should accept some responsibility for closing down and not communicating with my extended family. After a period, anyway, I realize now that I shouldn't have shut myself down, regardless of how difficult it was. I should have spoken up and blasted my family to everyone they knew. I accept this and feel prepared to take small moves in the correct path. After hearing all of your advice, I contacted a close friend and showed her the article. Then, I poured my heart out to her and as expected broke down in her flat. I asked her to help, and she did. She signed me up for therapy and promised to support me as I tackled my issues. I'll be eternally grateful for her help. Carl, Monica, and Clara continue to blow up my phone whenever they can. I've chosen to move in with Sophie for a while since I don't think I can cope alone right now. She has been an angel assisting me with all I could possibly need. There is one issue that has bothered me a little. Clara's fiance has been contacting and begging me to meet with him. Clara advised him he should hear the truth from me since he was overreacting to everything. My sister and parents are persuaded that I will do whatever they want and make up stories about how Clara's treatment of me is simply sisterly love. Honestly, I'm not sure what I'm going to do about Luca. I'm not sure if I should just block him and move on or meet him and give him the real truth. Mentally, I'm still a mess. Therefore, I don't trust my judgment right now. Perhaps you can help me with this one. Update 2. I heard you loud and clear. I got it. I need to talk to Luca. He needs to know what kind of lady he will marry. There is always the risk that what happened to my parents will happen to them. I am almost certain that Clara will end up abusing their child, just as my parents did, because it is all normal and justified in her perspective. There's also the fact that Luca is a nice guy who doesn't deserve to be with a frigid witch like my sister. I carefully considered my options and concluded that it would be better to meet with Luca and tell him everything. I want to do it before I go to the therapist because I'm very sure I won't be mentally stable after telling him everything, at least for the time being. I can seem to be unconcerned and express the truth without bursting into tears. I've already texted Luca and scheduled a meeting with him. I've also saved all of the texts my sister and parents sent me so I can show Luca. I don't think he'd refuse to trust my tale, but it's always good to have some backup evidence. We will meet tomorrow, as he has requested, and I will be accompanied by Sophie. She will sit far away and only intervene or become engaged if I have a meltdown or anything. I'm dreading the meeting since talking about the past is starting to get to me. I'm constantly weary and have to take time off work to deal with everything. Fortunately, my manager is really pleasant and does not go about canceling leaves for fun. No, he does not know the entire story, and I prefer it that way. Telling a friend in a group of strangers nearly sent me into a tailspin. I don't want my Kia workers to know about my sad life, so for the time being, they will remain in the dark. As for Luca, I hope I have the strength to tell him the entire thing so he can avoid marrying my demon sister. Update 3. I met up with Luca last night. It was not a quiet, tranquil, or collected talk. I anticipated to go insane, but not to this extent. It's unpleasant to let go of pent-up rage and frustration. It becomes unsightly and dirty. That's exactly what happened during yesterday's meeting. When I went to speak with Luca, I noticed immediately a way that he looked terrible. I may not know him well, but I've been the man before. He appeared absolutely broken and untidy. We attempted to make small talk, but the elephant in the room needed to be addressed. He just asked me to tell him about my relationship with my sister and our family. I did exactly that. I told him everything. I attempted to keep a straight face while I gave him the entire story of my life up to that point. Clara and my dad had not ceased contacting and tormenting me. I showed him all of the texts and allowed him go through my conversations with them. It took us both around 3 hours to recover. He was crying, so was I, and Sophie was trying to keep us from passing out or whatever. I'm so glad I took her with me. Sophie could tell I was about to have a meltdown. She intervened and calmed me down, preventing me from losing my sanity. Luca was also concerned about me and kept reminding me that I didn't have to feel obligated to tell him everything. But I do not know. Fellas, it was good to get everything out. Perhaps it prepared me a little for what I would encounter in therapy. Besides, I had to tell Luca everything so he could make his own judgments. It was a very difficult conversation. Luca informed me that he had no idea how horrible things were. Clara constantly told him that I wasn't available because I was too busy with work and other commitments. He had no cause to suspect anything. Carl and Monica had been really nice to him, so he had no doubts that they were excellent people. That was it till the engagement celebration. Luca admitted that it was pure luck that he overheard our chat, but he is glad he did. Ever since that day, he had been wondering if the woman he had fallen in love with was real. He actually asked Clara for some space, but she reacted angrily. Clara kept telling him he was exaggerating and that sisters are always cruel to each other. Fortunately, Luca did not buy any of it. He is a single child, yet he has other female cousins who also have sisters. He has never seen anyone be so disrespectful to their sister before. Unlike Clara, he has empathy and the emotional capacity to discriminate between right and wrong. Luca has worked hard to get Clara to tell him the entire tale. When she kept gaslighting him, Luca decided to phone my parents and attempt to figure out what was happening. Carl and Monica, of course, stated the same thing as Clara, and even tried to convince Luca that I must have done something terrible to Clara to cause trouble. My adoring parents portrayed me as a selfish, miserable, drama-loving person who spoils everything because I am envious of my sister. Luca still didn't believe them. When he phoned my Helena, she told him the truth. He was outraged and promptly informed Clara that the wedding was off. She raged, cried, and became hysterical. She kept telling him he was exaggerating and Omaha Helena was lying because I was her golden grandchild. Luca was perplexed and overwhelmed by everything, and he had no idea what to do. Then Clara naively gave him my phone number and ordered him to call me to explain everything. Clara, of course, expected me to say what she wanted him to hear, so she urged him to contact me. She had no idea I'd say no to her and my parents' requests. I didn't bother clarifying her misconceptions after a few responses on my end. I had previously written this piece and understood what I needed to do. I didn't tell Luke about the posts, but I did tell him everything else that was going on. Sophie filled in the blanks when I couldn't talk anymore. At the end of the meeting, both Luca and I were too emotionally exhausted to discuss what would come next. After I returned home, Luca texted me to say he was leaving my sister for good. Calling off the engagement was not enough. He didn't want anything to do with a woman who was terrible on the inside. I haven't received any angry texts from Clara or my parents, so I'm thinking he hasn't followed through on his plan yet. For the time being, I'm going to keep quiet and focus on regaining control of my feelings. I know things are going to turn bad in the next several days, so I need to brace myself. I may not be able to provide an update as quickly as I would want, and I hope you understand. Update 4. Hello there, I am still alive and passing myself off as a productive adult. I'm sorry I couldn't return sooner for an update. As you can see, a lot has happened since my previous post. I knew I'd need time to provide an update, but I didn't realize it would take 3 months. Today has been one of my better days, so I thought I'd come here and provide an update. I greatly appreciate all of your comments on my post. They warmed my heart and kept me going even throughout the darkest times of my life. I suppose you'd be pleased to hear that things are finally looking up for me, but good things come at a high cost. When I last updated, Luca had not spoken with my sister about ending their relationship. He accomplished it only 3 days later. He wanted to move his key belongings to a safe location before ending the relationship. He was making arrangements because he was concerned that my sister might become violent and aggressive, among other things. He was totally correct, and thank God he got to a secure spot before breaking up with Clara. Luca had moved to a friend's home with his crucial documents and belongings. He then called my sister and informed her that it was over. She didn't take it well. First, she cried and begged Luca not to abandon her. Then, she informed him that she would do anything to win him back, even starting to treat me better if it meant keeping him. Clara went insane because Luca refused to listen to her cries for reconciliation. I'm not exaggerating here. Clara literally went berserk. She sent him recordings of herself trashing the house and ruining anything Luca couldn't transport to his friend's residence. Then she started showing up at his friends' places looking for him. She even threatened them when they informed her that Luca was not with them. Clara went to his parents' house and caused such a mess that the cops had to be called. She got off without being warned, but she didn't take it seriously. Clara then showed up at his workplace, but security refused to let her in. What did she do then? She waited and followed him to his friend's home. Things became heated there, so the friend had to interfere and call the cops on Clara. She escaped before they could apprehend her. Then she had the nerve to show up at my workplace and attempt to run me over with her car as I was wrapping up my shift at the restaurant. This is my second job, so she knew I'd be working the evening shift. Thank goodness I recognized her automobile and was able to get away without being crushed. I had to go to the hospital for a fractured arm after falling while trying to move out of the path. Don't worry, it wasn't something serious. By God's grace, that mad woman could have killed me. I don't want to go into detail about what happened next, because I was simply not in a good mood. Things transpired, cops got involved, and charges were filed. Sophie did the majority of the heavy lifting, as did Luca, who came to help me while I rested. My relatives, uncles, and Helena all rallied around me. After a long period, I felt as if I had finally received the love and attention I had longed for. It did not originate from Carl or Monica, but from my extended family. My parents blamed me for everything. They wrote me some nasty texts saying that it was all my fault and that I deserved to die because I sent Clara to jail. Again, I don't want to go into depth since I'll be triggered again. The issue hasn't been totally resolved, but it appears that my sister will spend some time in jail and give me compensation. I'm pretty sure that will come out of Carl and Monica's pockets. Because Clara practically has nothing to her name. My extended family all much cut them off and my Helena disowned them forever. Carl and Monica attempted to sue me for this, but fortunately, I had restraining orders in place by then. Things were pretty bad for me for the first 2 months because coping with everything was exhausting. I went to therapy and I'm still seeing a psychiatrist about my trauma, but don't worry too much about me. I'm actually doing much better now. Yes, there are days when I feel absolutely hopeless and miserable, but I'm learning to cope in a healthy way. I have to add that my roommate has been my rock throughout this. Also, credit where it is due. Luca has been really helpful and supportive. Right now, he has his own restraining order against Clara, so he doesn't have to worry about that. He also has a good support system, which is beneficial to him. So yeah, everything that could go wrong did go wrong, but I escaped with minor injuries. I shall be eternally grateful for that. I've been thinking of moving away, but I really don't want to be apart from my Helena, who isn't in great condition right now. All of this has had a negative impact on her health. That concludes my update to you. I will not be posting any more updates because I am hopeful that things will calm down. From here on out, I'm doing my best to move on, so I needed to offer one final thank you to everyone who helped make this possible. I have taken all of your advice and will carry it with me for the rest of my